to know and love and utilize, and really show entrepreneurs that holistic, WHOLE, approach to creating what they want. Because it's not about a life-work balance for me. It's how to blend them together because they are all you. And I know my business will continue to evolve in certain ways, but I'm just so excited to be able to know this tool called human design, as well as just share it, because it is such a beautiful foundational map to just show you who you are and how you're designed to create what you want.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mutita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Our guest today is an international business and life guide. So Mel McSherry, CEO of Better Than Before, she helps inspire but overwhelmed entrepreneurs honor their life and becomes the architect of their own success. So, in our Get Unstuck community right here, we really support you to put your life first and then business second. But I always wonder, why we have to think, why we are doing everyday tasks or everything for on daily basis. If we know already what we are doing already give us the way to the next step of our life, right? So what Mel say and mention in her work is that we can strategize our life to be profitable every single day, about mentally, emotionally, and financially. So we're definitely going to cover this thing today. So please welcome Mel to Get Unstuck podcast today. So hi, Mel.
Hi, Mutita. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited because offline we were talking about if we could speak about this at the early stage of having a business, maybe having a business could be easier for many people, right?
Yeah, and not only easier, but simpler, because even though you can have all that information, we're still human, right? Things still happen. But when you have more of that foundational information about yourself, those ebbs and flows become simpler because you know how to remain profitable mentally and emotionally and financially inside of them.
So let's get back when you just get started. How did you tap into this entrepreneur journey though, Mel?
So this was definitely a journey. I've been an entrepreneur since 2010, and I actually started in the fitness industry. I was a certified personal trainer, and I tried to do the corporate gym for a bit and realized, I really wanted to train who I wanted to train, how I wanted to train them, and also just be more accessible price-wise. And with that said, when I first started, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs do, we start with that mental and emotional profitability first. The financial is just the bonus, right? We see a solution or we see a way that we want to do business that we can only create for ourselves. And so with that, I decided to, like I said, become a personal trainer and have my own fitness business. And then when my son was born in 2011, it was just too hard to travel to people's homes. I was married at the time, and my ex-husband worked in Major League Baseball, so his schedule was pretty hectic. And so I had to take a step to the side. And I love to always mention this in my journey, because every journey, it's never a point A to point B to point C. It is A point 2, back to C. It's just this roundabout way, right? And sometimes we need to make decisions to alleviate some of the financial stress so we can focus on the mental and emotional profitability. And so for me, that was being a VA for a couple of companies, as well as online medical billing, which not my jam. However, it gave me that capacity to really be with my son, to navigate that first couple of years of motherhood and really understand, now what do I want? And so that came into the form of moving my fitness business onto a virtual platform through a partnership with a network marketing company called Beachbody. And it's so interesting because I went into it just wanting to be a fitness coach. I didn't want to do the team building. I didn't think I was anybody to show anyone else how to build a business, which, hindsight, hilarious. And I just really wanted to focus on my own thing. And then when I started being successful as a coach, my leader asked me to create kind of just a quick training of how do I do it? How do I be a primary caregiver to my new son and hit all these sales goals? And so that ended up becoming the initial framework of how I supported women at the beginning build their fitness businesses. And then fast forward to 2015, I'm in the middle of my divorce. My feet were in two different areas, one in fitness that was going nowhere because my other foot was in technically business coaching. And I decided, well, if there's any time to pivot, it's now. So in 2016, I left the fitness industry, launched my business coaching business. And even that has moved through several ideations ever since then, starting from very traditional frameworks and very traditional focuses to now expressing and utilizing more of the spiritual tools that I have come to know and love and utilize, and really show entrepreneurs that holistic, WHOLE, approach to creating what they want. Because it's not about a life work balance for me. It's how to blend them together because they are all you. And I know my business will continue to evolve in certain ways, but I'm just so excited to be able to know this tool called human design, as well as just share it because it is such a beautiful foundational map to just show you who you are and how you're designed to create what you want.
So can you explain about human design for those who don't know what it is, like hear it for the first time? What is it, human design?
Yeah, so it is a tool that utilizes quantum physics, I Ching, astrology, Kabbalah, and chakras. And what it is a lot of people call it your energetic blueprint. It shows you how much energy you have, where that energy comes from, as well as how are the best ways for you to make the most profitable decisions for yourself. And I love it because it gave me so much vernacular on my how. We talk a lot about our why. Simon Sinek has coined that beautifully. And I know a lot of us naturally know the core of our why. Where we get overwhelmed and overextended is the how, because we just get inundated with everything we think we need to do, of what people have told us we have to do. And a lot of the times it just does not feel right, but we don't know why. And human design shows you why. It shows you not only why that doesn't feel right, but how you can take that information and either customize it to yourself and what you know to be true, or know instantly that this is not for you, so you could just bless and release and move on.
Which one actually comes first, do you think? What, why, and how? I sometimes confuse even.
Yeah, I honestly think the why naturally comes because that's our pull to start our businesses. It may not be a concise why, which is probably why Simon Sinek has done that so beautifully, is to help us, I don't like to say niche it down, but hone it in just a little bit more so it's not so overwhelming. But we have, especially for entrepreneurs, we start because we have that pull, we have that why. And that is always that first ping to move on to what you want to do. And then everything else, starts to progress afterwards. It's always that, that what if, okay, I said yes, now what? And it's that of the now what comes from your human design. Not only how to utilize that time profitably while you're waiting for those next steps, but again, an indicator of what your pace is going to be like as you build it, because it's all about sustainability, not productivity.
And how can this human design can help you create a profitable business then? How can you combine it together? Can it be together though?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's why I said I believe it's always a work-life blend, not balance, because you are the singular most important person and resource in your life and in your business. And too much now have we separated the two from personal development to business development. As entrepreneurs, you are your business. So when you develop yourself, your business naturally develops. And so how human design does that is, again, it just shows you that process. It just shows you, okay, not only the process, but going back even further to just the validation and confirmation of what you know to be true. I knew that I used to call myself an introverted extrovert. Because when I was around people, I was energized and I, would be creative and all the things. And then I would completely just disconnect as soon as I was gone. Like I just felt like all the energy had just been sucked out of me. And I didn't know how to hone that in and make that profitable to me. Instead, I would punish myself of like, no. I was busy yesterday. I have to be busy today. And when I read my human design and realized there's an element in my profile called a hermit, not only that, I am what's called a projector, which means I have very short amounts of energy and I can only elevate that when I'm around others. I understood that, okay, when I spend copious amounts of time with people, I need to make sure that I put that rest time in because that's what helps me stay sustainable. We are so easily coerced into making those financial milestones our motivators. And when we do that, we negate the mental and emotional profitability. We think that that is what comes after the financial. And therefore, we start to burn out, we start to overwhelm ourselves, we start to overextend ourselves. But when we understand our pace and our personalized process, then when those lull moments come, we don't react from scarcity. We don't react because this is different than what it was before. We know how to then utilize that to be profitable for those who have lower energy, what they can do to rest. For those who have copious amounts of energy, that permission to put that energy into something that they can master and enjoy. So then when that next opportunity comes, they're fully ready to just jump in and start that next step. So it really does help you enjoy this journey because it is a journey and it is a process and there are ups and downs and in-betweens. And what makes entrepreneurs, quote unquote, successful are those that find that joy, those celebrations, those little things that help them feel profitable mentally and emotionally as the financial follows.
And does this, can I call this like a reading?
Uh-huh.
It always change, or it's like a birth chart that it would be like a permanent one since you were born or something?
Yes. So it is a permanent chart. To utilize your human design, you need to know your birth date, time, and location. There are some elements that may change as you get over 50, but they're not the main components. For those who don't know, I call human design the ultimate onion of personal development because there are a ton of layers. So much. I mean, people look at charts and go, oh, okay, like where do I start? What are these lines? And there's not, it's so much, right? And so when people spend time with me in readings as well, and working with me, I like to just start with what I call the 5 foundational areas. And that is your type, which is your overarching theme of who you are. And then the rest of them help you understand who you are inside of that type. So with that type comes a certain strategy. Then we talk about your centers, which are also in alignment with your chakras. We talk about your profile, which are your main characteristics of your energetic profile, as well as your incarnation cross, which is your overarching theme of your why. And again, with that, you then have such a deeper validation of who you are, because we all naturally work inside of our design. It's in us. It's our frequency. It's who we are. What happens though is we tend to go too far due to conditioning, due to lack of knowledge of where our starting and stopping points are.
I bet lots of your customer or your clients, after working with you, they will feel like everything is a lot more ease, isn't it? Like after
Absolutely.
they
The
realize,
deep breaths, of just, and I felt the same way when I first read mine. Like, I'm not crazy. I'm not lazy. I'm not, this is why. And to have that internal permission is such a trust builder in yourself. And I don't think that we are taught that enough, especially as entrepreneurs. We're always taught to seek the professional, to seek the expert, to seek it out, right? Instead of starting with you first. What do you already know to be true? What do you already know about your how and your process? And then with that, then see which of those formulas, those frameworks, those mentors really honor and apply that for yourself. So it helps you in the decision-making process. I know for me, it would have definitely lessened a lot of the financial investments I made in certain things. And again, it's just that deep breath of, oh, okay, I now know this. I know this. I have the vernacular, I have the validation, the confirmation, and now the awareness of where I went too far or how we can reframe it so it is perfectly applicable and in an alignment with our design.
So profitable actually no need to be means it's positive or it's like giving you benefit or something, but it gives you peace of mind, mental, and also giving you in the flow emotionally, like not always ups and down, and not having you problem, not causing you any problem financially, right?
Yeah, it alleviates, it just streamlines so much. And in those moments of frustration, in those, like I said, those moments of lull, which for me, I had a burnout that lasted over a year. Even inside of that burnout, I was able to utilize pieces of my human design chart to still, I wouldn't say enjoy the process, because it was definitely a process. However, there was always profitable moments, and I knew how to take care of myself inside of that hallway, as I like to call them. And when I got to the other side, that following year was my most profitable mentally, emotionally, and financially since I started.
Interesting. We were talking about this. I just did the brain mapping test, like wearing those machine. So if anyone doesn't know, you can search brain mapping machine. I'm not sure what it's really called, the machine itself, but it will show you about the brain wave, how the state of your brain really works and functioning. So we were talking about those entrepreneurs who are very hyper and have a very high beta brainwave. They may be like have a lot on their mind but feel overwhelmed, being inspired to do though, but overwhelmed. So how can we help them to find their daily operation, get things done?
So there's a couple of different areas in a human design chart that could give you that information. One of them is your type. So for those who have copious amount of ideas and energy, I would say they're probably either a generator, which is 70% of the population. Those are the most energetically sustainable types, or their subtype, which is called the manifesting generator. Those are my multitaskers. Those are my multi-passionate. I can't, like, anybody who cringed when somebody said you need to niche down, you're probably a Manny Gen. And the reason and how that can help you is from my manifesting generators. First, again, give yourself that permission of, oh no, I can be in multiple places at once. And anybody who tells me otherwise, I need to bless and release. And understand their flow in between all of those. For my generators, it's honoring that, okay, I would look in a little bit deeper and look at your centers. And I don't want to overwhelm people with a ton of information, so I will try to keep it as concise as possible. But within the centers, which again are in alignment with your chakras, you have ones that are open, which are where you receive your information, and you have ones that are defined, which is where you process it. I would bet that those who are overwhelmed with all the ideas are probably open in their head and their ajna, which is their third eye, either both or one of them, because those are the ideas. That's where we get a lot of our inspiration. And so when you have even just that inside information of you, you can then go, okay, I know I'm always going to receive my ideas. So because I know I'm a generator, let's go back to my strategy, which is know thyself, wait to respond. If I'm a Manny Gen, I'm going to utilize my strategy, which is know thyself, or excuse me, which is inform. And what that does is that helps you initially process, and again, gives you that foundation of how you can separate what's meant for you and what is just a beautiful idea that's just been circulating and there just needed a place to land. So again, it shows you that filtering process for yourself, so you don't emotionally react and go, oh, I have all these ideas, I have to do them all now because the universe told me to. The universe is beautiful at presenting us what we want. What it does not do is prioritize it for ourselves. So we need to understand our pace and process and go, okay, I see this, I hear this. Going back to a strategy for a generator, know thyself. Okay, is this part of what I want to do now, or is this a future thing? And then wait to respond. What is that next step if this is meant for me? Because sometimes it presents us with an opportunity at the right time. Other times the universe just wants to show us that what is possible. And when it's time, there are opportunities and resources available to you. So it's that little bit of that forward thinking. So that again is such a great way to utilize human design, because you can take all of those ideas and you can prioritize them to you, as well as what was just meant to be imagined for a bit, for some, a mental playtime, and let go.
Interesting. Oh, so but you need to start from knowing why do you want to do this first to do this though, or it's just like I'm just curious and I want to know more about myself.
I mean, that is a why of
Mm.
I want to know more about myself, of because when a lot of people come to me, they didn't even know human design was what they were looking for.
Oh.
They just have this yearning to know themselves deeper that wasn't represented through somebody else's story. A lot of personal development, which is beautiful. I love personal development. It is reading somebody else's formula, it is reading somebody else's story, and then just identifying pieces so you feel seen and heard and recognized. Where they always fall short, because none of us are a monolith, is helping us then take that and personalize those action steps for us. You get inspired, you get motivated, but then 9 times out of 10, you're like, okay, now what? How? How do I take this and utilize this for myself? And that's where human design can give you that extra information. I like to visualize it as human design is the bottom of the iceberg. Like if you've ever seen those pictures where the bottom is just this huge cavernous thing, right? But usually all we see is that just top 2%. I feel like that's a lot of personal development books, is just that top 2%. But in order for us to really dive into that, we have to go deeper and we have to go to the root of it, which is ourselves. And that's where human design starts to expand on the personal development that you've been reading, as well as those other personality tests. They're all beautiful in their own rights. Human design is one of the few, besides your birth chart, that is purely foundational, without any training, without any trauma, without any environmental coercion. This is you at the core. It is your operations manual. So with that information, then you can see how those bits and pieces come together from what you've already experienced, what you've already learned, and what you already know.
Do you have any transformation story that you can share from your clients?
Yeah. So I mean, I have so many, but probably my most favorite one to this day. I have an amazing client named Dee. And when we first met, she was in a hallway. So I like to call transitional phases hallways, because we always talk about the doors of opportunity, but hardly do we talk about the hallways in between. And I love being a hallway guide, because that is such a profitable space, because it allows you to reflect, it allows you to celebrate, and it allows you to take what you know and start to customize it. So then when you move toward that next door of opportunity, not only did you design it because you took those steps, you already know how you're going to create that room once you step into it, because of the work you've done on yourself. So when I first met her, she had left corporate. So she had a little bit of what I call corporate PTSD. And she jumped in feet first with all the traditional frameworks of entrepreneurship, of all the things that she thought was the quote unquote natural way for her to progress from being in corporate to being an entrepreneur. And she was just overwhelmed insanely, because she just didn't know why things weren't easy, why things just didn't feel, even when they were working, she didn't feel profitable. She just felt like she had to just keep going, and she was exhausted all the time and all these things. And so she actually found me on LinkedIn. I sometimes do complimentary oracle card readings. And she considered herself a spiritual person, but that was kind of outside of her norm, but she was curious. So she asked one for me. Then she started following me. Then she had a human design reading. And then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, we worked together for about 2 years. But to watch her progress from constantly fighting herself, constantly feeling overwhelmed, constantly, but I have to, I should, la, 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 to understanding her flow and being able to fully step in and create what she wants with those deep breaths. She's also has hermit in her profile. When she understood that, she understood what rest was to her and how to put that into her day to day. She understood her flow of energy as a generator. And that strategy of know thyself and wait to respond, as well as understanding that generators aren't initiators, they're follow through. So that took off a whole bunch of pressure that she had to initiate, that she had to follow up, that she had to do all these things. And that just helped her lean back a little bit, to drop those literal drop her shoulders and take those deep breaths of, okay, I know this information. I know I'm always going to have a ton of ideas because she is open in her crown and ajna. And I also know that I have a stair-step style of success. So again, all these pieces of information in her chart just gave her that deeper understanding of her process. And now she is just, I mean, it's so beautiful to watch her be so profitable and just be so energetic with what she's doing. Yes, she still has her moments. So do I. It doesn't cure everything. But what it does is it just, again, it simplifies. So when we have those lulls, when she has those lulls, she knows why and she knows how to move through them. And it's been my absolute pleasure to watch her move from, punishing herself and having imposter syndrome and all of these things to she is D and she has these gorgeous offers that she knows are different. She knows that they're hers. And she now knows not only how to talk about them, but how they will come forward for her and what that pace is for herself.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
In case anyone listening to here and they want to work with you or they want to follow your work, where can they find you then?
So first, I always love to offer a complimentary virtual coffee. So if you would like to get to know me better, ask me questions, what have you, please feel free to go to virtualcoffeewithmel.com and schedule a complimentary 30 minutes virtual coffee with me. No sales, no stress, no pressure, just us getting to know each other. If feels a little bit too personal right now, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn at Mel McSherry or check out my website at melmcsherry.com.
So everything will be put in the description as well as the show note, everyone. Yeah, this is such an interesting thing that I don't know what you think, but I'm interested. So if you want to learn more about it, definitely follow Mel. And if you're interested to work with her, reach out to her. So Mel, thank you so much for sharing these amazing things that I get to learn more about. Okay, this is human design, and we can actually find our internal operational manual since birth. How amazing. So yeah, that's very eye-opening conversation today. Thank you so much for joining and sharing this awesome story to Get Unstuck podcast today, Mel.
You're so welcome. And thank you so much for having me. I had an absolute blast.
Have a wonderful day.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The result of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.